everybody. We wanted to build up a little bit of anticipation before we came out here. My name is Anne Gaviola, and I'm the Economics and Money Editor at Vice Canada. What that means is I write a lot of articles, I produce a lot of videos for the world's leading youth media company, so a lot of the articles and videos that I create are consumed by people under the age of 35. I also took a little bit of a time out from journalism in 2018 to go work in cryptocurrency and blockchain. I was at what was at the time Canada's leading blockchain company. So that's sort of my connection to this. I'm also a certified Bitcoin professional. I am thrilled to be here with these guys on this panel. We're going to be digging into a lot of things. We're also going to have the opportunity to take some of your questions. So think about what kinds of things you would like to ask these gentlemen up here with me. And we'll get to that. We'll save some time at the end. But first, this is a bit like speed dating. So let's figure out who is on stage here with me. I would love for each of you, just one by one, to introduce yourself to the audience. Tell us a little bit about yourself, just a little bit, and your connection to this topic, this sort of idea of things that you wish you had been taught in business school, / is business school necessary to become a success? Okay. We'll start with you.
Sure. Thanks, Anne. Hi, I'm Vasco. I'm co-founder and CEO of Unbabel. And Unbabel, what we do is it's an AI company using AI for translation applied to customer service. I have a PhD in natural language processing from Carnegie Mellon. I did not go to business school. I have one of the, according to the poll, the most useless thing to start a career path.
Interesting.
And that was my fourth startup. So far we raised about $91 million, and we have presence here in Lisbon, San Francisco, Pittsburgh, and New York.
Great, so a real sort of global viewpoint. Now, I believe you may be the only one on this panel who has been to business school, so very unique perspective. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, so my name is Carlos. I'm from Portugal. I'm an engineer, and at some point in my life I felt that I didn't want to be an engineer anymore, and I decided to apply for business school. And I think that changed my life for better. I loved being in business school. I learned so much. It was really the biggest and best thing I did in my life, the best years of my life. And then I went into being a businessman, and then I went into being a politician, right? So I've done a lot of things in my life. So I'm very happy to be here and share this stage with these great young men and young girl.
Another sort of well-rounded viewpoint. We'll get back to you shortly. And Mr. Akon.
Yes.
Hi.
How you doing? So my name is Akon. I'm a recording artist, philanthropist, entrepreneur. Outside of music, I have my own energy utility company called Akon Lighting Africa, ALA, which is now also based in Akon Lighting America, which we have created a branch there now. Collectively, we're in 17 countries. And then on side of that, we also created our own cryptocurrency for the continent of Africa called Akon, which we'll be talking about later today as well, too.
Cool. Okay, let's start very broad, and then we'll start kind of narrowing it down. I'm going to throw this out there. What have you learned that they don't teach in business school? Or you can flip that around. What do you think they should be teaching more of in business school? Feel free.
Carlos, yeah. As the business school guy here.
Yeah.
You know, I think that business school, it's really one of those moments in your life that you learn the most important thing about being creative, which is diversity. I was born in a small town in this country, went to university in this country where everybody was Portuguese, and then suddenly I go outside, go to the US, to Harvard Business School, and I meet people from all over the world. And from that moment, I understood that without diversity, without different people around you that think in a very different way, you cannot create. And for me, that was a lesson from my life, and I've been seeing that since then. That the best people I've met are the ones that have teams that collaborate, that have different ways of thinking, and that create based on that difference. This is very difficult because you normally like to choose your friends by people that really think like you, that have eventually the same religion that you have or don't have a religion, but you don't create anything with those people because you think alike. And I think that business school really opened my eyes to the power of diversity. And just tell you very quickly, last year I was at a Nobel Prize. And one lady, a Chinese lady, we won the Nobel Prize for Medicine, Tu Youyou. She basically discovered a cure for malaria because she was reading poetry from 2,000 years. So the diversity is not just the diversity of people, but also the diversity of disciplines, the diversity in between arts and science and music. You know, I was looking at Akon, you know, the Director General of the biggest particle accelerator in the world in Switzerland, CERN, is a woman that is an accomplished pianist, but she's also in physics. And I think that is, for me, the thing that I probably most cherish that I've learned in business school. And so I wanted to share with all of you, because it's sometimes difficult to get it to digest that effect of being with different people is the best thing you can do in life.
You know, one of the things that I've noticed, I have a lot of friends who went to business school, and I think a lot of different people go to business school from different backgrounds. But one of the things that I feel that it's hard to learn at a business school is something that whenever you're starting a new venture, you know, whether it's in music or, you know, in a company or a politician, it's the grind. It's to go through that struggle that you need to go through to get to the other side of it. And that initial phase of launching yourself into something you're passionate about and knowing that there's a struggle ahead of you I don't think it's possible to really teach anywhere. It comes from your own past and from your desire to just keep going and to get to somewhere that is, you know, that you consider as success.
Yeah. I would actually agree with both my panelists here, because ultimately, like, I went to school and I didn't go to college, I didn't go to business, I didn't go to any of it. I already knew what I wanted to do. And I always felt like the spiritual aspect helps you transcend beyond even business, because when you put yourself in a position where you know exactly what you want to do, and you're great at what you want to do, and you do what you do often, when you do it often, you become amazing at it. And anything that you're amazing at, people are going to pay you for that service. So within that service, you also realize that there's doors that open in the mix of that service becoming that blessing. And I always realized that because I was good at music, music became the bridge to everything else I wanted to do outside of music. So it opened up doors like energy, for instance. I knew nothing about energy in 2010. Now I have a utility company that's servicing 17 countries. And I've never even went to business school. But being in that environment creates the opportunity to learn more, to understand, to actually not even, you know, put yourself in a position where you actually adapt to those situations. And he makes an amazing point, because when you're surrounded by a virtue around people, culture, languages, you know, disciplines, you naturally catch on, you learn from, and then you adjust according to the areas that you're in. But you can only adjust when you're in diverse areas. And I think the collaboration, the art of collaboration, is how you actually grow your business. This is why a lot of small businesses find ways to merge, to become one as a unit and become even bigger, and merge into bigger situations and become even larger than life once they merge with major corporations in the future. So I think the option of having collaborations and also being diversifying your situations opens those cultures up to be able to service different markets. So when you actually connect diversity, you know, collaborations, and just basic passion, something you love to do, there's no way you can't have a successful business.
Okay, so no doubt there's a lot you can learn in business school, all different kinds. What about leadership? Is that something that can be taught? Is that something you're born with? Is it something that can be fostered or encouraged?
I used to think that it was something you were born with, but now I actually believe it's something you can foster. For me, for example, I think the process of going from a founder to a CEO was definitely fostered pretty much since Series A through a set of mentors, coaches that help you kind of get in the mindset and the quality of mind to be able to be more cognizant of your leadership abilities and to develop those.
I'm going to put you on the spot here. You talk about mentors. I think a lot of people sometimes think of just having one. What's a good number of mentors to have? Because you can have them in all different fields, areas of your life, right?
No, I wanted to make a point about mentors and one point about these leadership, right? So when I went to business school a long, long time ago, leadership was about creating a vision and following that vision and inspiring people to follow you. That's what leaders were about in the 80s and the 90s. And you know what? Now you have to unlearn that, because leadership at this stage, at this century, is totally different. Because people of your age don't want to follow a vision. You want to co-create a vision with the leader. And so the leaders of the 80s and the 90s, when you look at the Bill Gates of the world, they were like kind of on the front of the stage. They were the ones really doing that. Today, the leaders have to be on the back of the stage, and they have to include people to co-create that vision. And that's where we struggle in politics, because we don't know how to do that. Politics have a lot of vanity, so they really want to be on the stage. But people don't want them on the stage anymore. People want to be on the stage. So I think that's extremely important for you to think about that for your future. And when you go into politics, like our friend Akon, how do you include people in your message? Are you become inclusive? On the mentors, I think that for me, I think that without a mentor, you're nothing. I mean, you have to find a mentor. Find someone that you can really openly discuss your fragility, your insecurity, because everybody is insecure, and you have to share that with someone. And that person is your mentor, is the one that is there for you in the bad and the good times, but it's not your boss. And so for me, it was very important to have always a mentor in my life.
Nice.
Cool.
I actually believe that leadership is fostered and as well as born. I think when you're born with leadership, it's a different type of leader. And I always believe that there's two types of leaders. There's leaders that learn how to lead, and there's leaders who actually define what leaders are and how to navigate other leaders. So when you look at presidents, for instance, you have presidents that you may respect, but you don't really believe that they lead you. And ultimate times is a matter of how that person came up, because leadership comes with mentorship. You have to understand that people that led you will help to define the kind of leader that you yourself even become. And I always think that when you're born a leader, that's probably the most powerful type of leadership you can actually have, because you already have the leadership instinct within you. And you just know it. As a kid, you probably was the one that everybody followed or said, okay, what are we doing today? You're already a leader as a child, but then as you get older, that leadership becomes such a fosteristic type of thing, because you learn how to become a better you. And I always believe that people that's taught to lead are people that help to shape leaders themselves. So in so many words, I believe that leaders are actually born. Foster is really more the guy that supports the leader himself, because even that person will need that mentorship to become the biggest leader in his state of mind. But just because you're not a physical leader to the public don't necessarily mean that you're not a leader, because the smallest guy with the less power in the village may be the one that's the most influential, and he may be the one that lead everybody in the future.
Okay, I want to talk, we talked about, sort of recipes for success, and we will return to that, but let's talk about the importance of learning from failures as well. Things that didn't turn out the way you had hoped, but are actually quite valuable in terms of propelling you forward on your path. What can you tell everyone about learning from your mistakes, whether that's real life or, cases that you learn about in school?
So I think there's a lot of stuff that failure teaches you. Certainly some things of how to do it better. You tend to do mistakes that are, the first time mistakes that you do, for example, when you start a company. But there's one thing that I think most people don't talk about that failure teaches you, which is it sucks. And it teaches you that you don't want to do it again. And it's a very powerful motivator to fail and to feel that the next time you're going to do it, you're going to give that much more to not experience that again. I think for me, it's been beyond just the typical lessons of, hey, I should have done it differently. It's this is not going to happen again, no matter what.
You got to get burned to learn that lesson.
When I went to Harvard Business School, the dean there said something that I think is really important, is that a key part of any success is the part of you that is willing to fail. And I think that it's so difficult to, when you're young, to face that you are willing to fail. And in my life, every time I failed was because I was too afraid, because I was not daring, because I was in my comfort zone. And so I think that for you at your age, it's really about saying, I don't care, I want to fail. fail again, and then you will do it because you're not afraid. And I think that self-confidence is one of the things that I learned in business school. And self-confidence is a big part of the game. You have to be self-confident with content. You have to work to be self-confident, but you have to develop that skill. And at your age, for the ones that are here, is essential. Don't ever forget that. Be willing to fail. Don't matter what your neighbor is going to be saying that you failed, or your mother or your father. Just do it. Fail, and you know it's so important in life. And in politics, you fail all the time. So you kind of learn that the hard way.
Low bar right there.
Akon, you.
So, me personally, I don't believe in failure. I don't think failure even exists. I always felt like that was a state of, I don't. Failure to me is fear. If you're afraid to go, you already failed. But that's the only way failure comes. Don't ever think failure is actually a thing. Because the way I see it is, if you create a goal and you say, this is what I want to accomplish, or this is what's going to happen, you're trying to literally predict the future to say, this is what's going to happen, or this is what I want to happen. Now, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't mean you failed. It just means you didn't have enough information to succeed. So it's always preparation. That always is the key to where you're going and how you finish. Failure is never a finish. That's just information now that you've gathered to know that if you do it again in this route, this is what's going to happen. It won't exceed to the, to the expectation of whatever that goal you made for yourself. So don't create goals around your age, number one. That's always the beginning of what you may consider to be failure, because things happen when God says it's going to happen. It's not going to happen when you say it's going to happen. Now, you can work towards it and hope that you get as close to that thing as possible, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it was written to be happening at that moment in time in which you want it to happen. But if you take the time and you actually explore, you get all the information you need, you can actually accomplish that in lesser time than you thought that you would be able to accomplish it in the time that you created in those goals. So just always know that when you come to failure, it really doesn't exist. It's really a matter of what you want to happen and how you see it happening. But if because it doesn't happen the way you want it to happen, or it doesn't happen in the way you see it happening, don't mean you failed, because in the process of all of that, you gathered a lot of data that gave you mad information to now succeed in the way you want it to. So really, I always felt like what people consider failure is really just lack of information, because you don't get there by not having all the information. And you're clearly going to so-called fail when you try to achieve something without all the information. It just won't happen the way you expect it to.
So I'm keeping an eye on the time, and we're going to pivot to some of the audience questions. And I'm going to start with you, Akon, but you, all of you, free to answer this. How do you get over the fears that hold you back? The audience wants to know.
Well, I kind of got over the fear because I kind of got over fear itself. I always now believe that things happen the way it's supposed to. Things always align itself in the end the way it's naturally supposed to happen. So I've kind of put my spirituality in front of my knowledge, if that makes sense. In other words, putting 100% in God kills the fear already. Because I know at the end of the day, nothing is going to happen to me that God don't allow to happen to me. And nothing's going to be put in front of me that I can't personally handle. So I attack every situation as if it's meant to be. Someone could walk up to me right now with a gun in his hand and try to rob me. And I would literally go after that gun and try to save myself, because I really believe that I'm going to be okay. Now, if I don't be okay, then I'll be like, okay, cool. Alhamdulillah, I'm going to meet God. Thank God. I lived a good life, and I appreciate what that is. But it's about accepting what it is you have to offer in life and knowing that you are the value of what that is, because that alone gets rid of all the fear. The moment you have fear in your life, everything becomes a challenge. So fear can't be that biggest challenge in your life, because that's what's going to hold you down from accomplishing anything that you want to accomplish.
We'll have a talk later about destiny and fate, because I think we have slightly different viewpoints on that. But how about you?
I don't know if I agree 100% with that. I have a slightly different view. I think for me, getting over fear, part of it is owning your own vulnerabilities, is accepting that you are not perfect. There's things that you're good at. There's things you're not good at. And finding strength in vulnerability, because that actually creates a stronger connection to the people that help you achieve the things you want to achieve. And then once you embrace that, like a lot of times we're afraid of saying this. We're afraid of saying, yeah, I'm not perfect. There's things that I can't do really well, and I'm afraid of being put in those positions. But once you do, you realize that actually you're taking away the power of fear over you. And then you are free to kind of engage in the things that you're really passionate about, that you are actually really good at, and let other people help you in the other things that you're not.
Guys, I'm not perfect. You heard it here first. And how about you?
No, I think that the only advice I have is that don't try not to be afraid. I mean, fear is there. Just acknowledge that it's there, but just take it. And once a professor told me, fake it until you make it. So just like everybody is insecure, everybody has their own fears, but just like make them just around you and not that they stop you from doing things. And I also agree with the point that you have to show some vulnerability to people and you have to connect, and that's extremely important in life and in leadership too.
This next question is very apropos at this tech conference. Is networking the key to success? Yes or no?
No.
No?
No.
Care to expand on that briefly?
Yes. I think network is important to create connections, but I think the key to success is setting your goals on doing something that is really meaningful to you and being willing to do what it takes to get there. And then everything else will follow.
I think it depends on the networking. If the networking is just to say, hi, I'm Carlos, you're John, blah, 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 and we never meet again, I mean, it's not worth it. I mean, it's about caring about people. If I meet someone, if I like that person, if we meet again, and if we create those networks of people that you care, yes. If it's just like professional networking, to be frank, I think it doesn't really matter for success. But if you love people, I mean, I think that one of the things of the key of success for business and politics is that if you genuinely love people, then you make it, because that's what it is. So it's not the networking, it's about caring about people. And
I think it's about doing something that matters. Yeah. And then, people will come and help you.
I'm a firm believer that the key to success is unity. So to me, networking is the key. Because ultimately, I haven't seen anyone that ever accomplished anything on a major level by themselves. Yeah. Anything that you do in life, you're going to need people to help you, people to collaborate, people to think. And it's the different options that you have, those choices that create that dream. And it's those different ideas that come from different people that create that dream. And I think ultimately, when that collaboration is set and you realize that this is something I love to do, but I need people that also love what I do to help me push it forward, you're going to naturally be very successful. So now, and he's right to an extent, your attempt in networking and what your, what's the word, like,
small talk,
real care,
like the shallow connection.
Absolutely, because your motive in that network will determine
how successful
if that networking is even necessary.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay, I always like to end on a high note, and we have so little time left. But I want people to remember, if you have one piece of advice to founders or people who'd like to be founders in the future or people who'd like to be successful, one piece of advice you want them to remember today that you told them about on stage.
Follow your passion. Don't be afraid to fail.
Don't follow your parents' advice. They don't want you to take risks. So forget about your parents and just
Right on.
I love that. Wow. And mine is so funny you said that, because mine was going to be follow your passion and focus on your own device. Do what you feel in your heart is the right thing to do.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We could literally go on for another hour, and I think it would be great. You can also find us on social media, follow us. We can continue this conversation. Maybe we'll network or something at one of these parties sometime soon. Thanks. Bye.
So true, though.